Beneficial Ownership Information Reporting, the BOI. Everyone's been asking about it, and I'm here to answer all your questions on what you as a business owner need to know and do about it. Now, do note, this is not to provide my opinion on or advocacy for or against this new requirement. I just want you to know not only what this new requirement is, but also how you can take care of it to avoid any of the penalties and fines that are associated with not submitting it. So here's the general idea for the BOI. Every reporting company, save for 23 exceptions, must report certain information about their entity and the beneficial owners of said entity to FinCEN, the Financial Crimes Enforcement Network, not the IRS. For the most part, the information to report will be things such as the name, address, and EIN of the company, and then the full names, addresses, dates of birth of the beneficial owners. For any entity that started before January 1st, 2024, the report is due by January 1, 2025, meaning you have all of 2024 to submit your report. For any entity started in 2024, you must submit your report within 90 days of formation. And then for any entity started January 1st, 2025 or later, you must submit your report within 30 days of formation. Now that we have a general idea about this report, let me give you a little more detail about who a reporting company is, who the 23 companies that are exempt from this reporting are, who a beneficial owner is, the information you'll need to report and when, and then how often you need to submit this report, and what the penalties are for not reporting. First up, let's talk about a reporting company. Generally speaking, a reporting company is an LLC, corporation, or company, foreign or domestic, created by the filing of a document with the Secretary of State or any similar office under the state law or Indian tribe. So an LLC, an Inc., a PC, a PLLC, an LLP, something you filed for with your state to operate your company under. So now that we got that down, let's talk about 23 exempt companies. Who are these exempt companies? These are exempt type of companies, not just 23 total companies, but 23 types of companies that are exempt from this filing. I'll show you the full list, and then I'm going to give you a few highlights. But ultimately, if you think any of these 23 types of companies apply to you, you'll want to discuss that with your accountant or attorney to confirm that you are exempt from this filing. So here is the list. Pause to read and do note, I have a link to the FinCEN Small Entity Compliance Guide with all this information in the description below. I'm not going to read them off for you, but here are a few that I'd like to highlight. Large operating companies are exempt from this filing. So you're probably curious about what qualifies as a large operating companies. Well, it must fit all 6 of these criteria. Number 1, it has more than 20 full-time employees. Number 2, more than 20 full-time employees employed in the U.S. Number 3, has a physical presence at a physical office location in the U.S. Number 4, had more than $5 million in gross receipts on their previous filed federal tax return. Number 5, it reported this income on 1120, 1120S, 1065, or other applicable IRS tax form. And then number 6, has more than $5 million in gross receipts after excluding foreign income, meaning it's all U.S.-based income is $5 million or more total revenue. Tax-exempt entities like nonprofits are generally going to be exempt from this filing as well. An inactive entity, this one may apply for more people, so I felt like it's an important one to highlight. But it also must fit these 6 criteria in order to be considered an inactive entity. Number 1, in existence on or before January 1st, 2020. Number 2, it's not engaged in an active business. Number 3, it's not owned by a foreign individual. Number 4, no change in ownership in the preceding 12-month period. Number 5, hasn't sent or received funds in an amount more than $1,000. And number 6, entity does not otherwise hold any kind or type of assets. So those are some that I wanted to highlight. Look through the list and see if you may or may not qualify as an exempt entity in one of those. And again, talk with your accountant or attorney to make sure that you may be actually exempt from this before you just decide, I'm exempt and I'm not going to go ahead and file this report. All right, now let's talk about beneficial owners. In general, a beneficial owner is an individual who owns or controls at least 25% of a company or has substantial control over the company. You can get pretty into the weeds on this depending on the type of business you have and how it's operated. But for most small business owners, this is basically going to come down to ownership percentages. If you own 25% or more, you're a beneficial owner. And another quick note, you will also have to report information about the company applicant as well as the beneficial owners if you formed your company on or after January 1st, 2024. So any company established before January 1st, 2024 does not need to report any information on the company applicant. A company applicant is either someone who directly filed the formation documents for the company with the state, or someone who was primarily responsible for directing or controlling the filing of those registration documents. It could be both people. It could be the person who directed another person to file the documents. Both those people would be company applicants, and both need to be a part of that BOI filing. Just something to be aware of. All right, now let's talk about the information you need to report and when. All right, so here's a checklist of all the information you'll need to report. Basically, you're going to be looking at the full legal name of the business, any trade name you have, DBA, fictitious name, whatever it is that it is labeled at the state level. That's going to be reported. And then like your EIN number. And then you're going to have the beneficial owner information, their full legal name, date of birth, current address, and then a unique identifying number and issuing jurisdiction form and an image of one of the following. So this would be a unique identifying number like from your passport or from your driver's license. They have a number on it. That's the unique identifying number. And then you're going to upload a copy of that thing as well. And so that is the information for each owner that's going to be reported, as well as the general information on the company as well. So you're not going to be putting in things such as your social security number or anything like that. You're going to be putting in name, address, date of birth, and then some kind of government-issued ID, like a passport or a driver's license, into this as well for them to verify your identity. Quick note, if you are someone who has a lot of BOIs to submit, like you're a part of a lot of reporting companies and don't wish to enter this information over and over again, right? Your name, date of birth, your driver's license, things like that, you can request a FinCEN identifier by completing an electronic web form. In the application, the individual must provide the same 4 pieces of personal information and image reporting that companies submit when they're doing this BOI report. And so after you submit for that FinCEN identifier, you can use that instead of all the other information when submitting your BOI report, and then you no longer have to have that information for each BOI that you do. So you could start off getting that FinCEN identifier before you do the BOI report if you know you're going to be in a lot of these and you want to make that to be a little bit of a quicker process. And then remember, you file this either by January 1st, 2025, if you existed before January 1, 2024, within 90 days if your company is established, meaning 90 days after the state has accepted your filing in 2024, or within 30 days if your company is established January 1st, 2025 or later. So remember, the date that it's established, like in 2024 or later, is the date that it's finally accepted by the state. So, that's the general idea for the submission for this report. And so then the next question becomes, okay, so how often do I have to make this report? Is this an annual thing? Well, as far as the instructions go, this appears to be a one-time filing. The only times you'll need to file again is to provide an update to your report. An update would be if there's any change to the required information about your company or its beneficial owners in a BOI report that your company already filed. And if you must file this updated BOI report no later than 30 days after the date in which the change occurred. Here are some examples of changes that would require an updated BOI report. So if you had any change to the information reported to the reporting company, such as registering a new DBA, a change in beneficial owner, such as a new chief executive officer, sale that changes who meets the ownership interest threshold of 25%, or the death of a beneficial owner. Any change to a beneficial owner's name, address, or unique identifying number, those would all be examples of changes that would require you to update your BOI report. And now, the final burning question is, so what are the consequences for not filing this report or being late on filing this report? Here's what they say in their guide. This is going to be the best piece of information for you, so I'm not going to paraphrase it. I'll just read it straight to you. The willful failure to report complete or updated beneficial ownership information to FinCEN, or the willful provision of or attempt to provide false or fraudulent beneficial ownership information may result in a civil or criminal penalties, including civil penalties of up to $500 for each day that the violation continues, or criminal penalties including imprisonment for up to 2 years and or a fine of up to $10,000. Senior officers of an entity that fail to file a required BOI report may be held accountable for that failure. So to sum it all up, if you have a company or companies in the U.S., save for those few exceptions, you're more than likely going to need to report beneficial ownership information to FinCEN. For those companies established before 2024, you got all year in 2024 to get your filing in. For anyone setting something up in 2024, you'll have 90 days. And if you're setting something up in 2025 and after, you'll have 30 days to get your reports in. And this isn't something to sleep on, because if you don't submit the report, you'll be looking at a fine of $500 per day it's late and potentially even some jail time. Be sure to talk with your accountant and or attorney to see if they can help you with this filing if you're not comfortable taking care of it yourself. And to see what the filing actually looks like, just head over to fincin.gov/BOI and hit the file button. You can even download a PDF copy to take a look at the general information that they're going to ask for, and you can even submit it back on that PDF copy as well if you don't feel like doing it on the web form. Thanks so much for watching. I hope this video has been helpful. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and hit that notification bell. And if you're on TikTok or Instagram, be sure to follow me on there as well for other content that I create. And I look forward to seeing you all in the next video.